Hello guys and welcome back to another video. In this video I'll be talking about how to do a scout flush into a faster castle. So just to be clear, this won't be a fast castle. What I'll be doing here is I will be making a few scouts and then quickly going to castle age. So yeah, I will be pausing the game a couple times throughout the video. That way I can explain some different things. I find it's kind of too difficult to explain things while I'm playing because oftentimes I'll forget things like forgetting to make farms or something like that and it'll screw up the build. So I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to pause and I'll just go over a couple things. But anyways, in the beginning here, I'm just going to refresh some of the basics to a scout build and then I'll get into a little bit more detail into what we're doing here. So anyways, let's just start it out. So again, we're going to get the wood upgrade, the farm upgrade. We're going to make a house here. And once we get the stable up, we're going to make some scouts. So the idea in this build is that we are going to um, be making scouts, and then after we've made a few of them, we're going to go to Castle Age. So again, one thing that's really important when you're doing these builds is to make farms. Let me pause here. The thing with this build, in order to get up quickly, we have to make sure that we're walled, right? If we just go up and we're not walled, we leave ourselves open to a lot of dangers. Obviously, if we were to make 5 or 6 scouts and the other person makes like 10 scouts and we're not fully walled, well, then the scouts can come in here and do damage. So yeah, another thing is if they go scouts into archers and we're not walled, then they can also walk in here and they can use their archers to kill our scouts, villagers, whatever. So in general, when you're doing this strategy, you want to make sure that you can wall up pretty easily. Is it necessary to full wall? Maybe not in all situations. Some situations you might be able to get away with not fully walling. So for example, say they are going for like a drush fast castle and you are like sure of it, like you know that they're making farms, you see a blacksmith in range, etc. Then maybe you don't have to fully wall at least right away. Maybe you can just wall, you know, wall most of the front at least, and then wall the sides where you think maybe they're going to be coming in on, or they're going to be dangerous to you. Um, but yeah, so you don't always have to fully wall, but like in a map like this where it's really easy to full wall, especially early on in feudal age when both players go for a flush, it's usually best to wall both sides or on all sides. But anyways, what else is there? So another question is when to use a strat. Like what other strategies uh, should I use this strat against? So like I just said, Drush Fast Castle is a good strategy to use this against because um, usually with Drush Fast Castle, they're going to be trying to get up to Castle Age quickly, and you kind of have to determine like, do they have a good map for Drush Fast Castle? So like if you figure out like you think they've got a good map for Drush Fast Castle, they're going to be able to get up to Castle Age quickly. I'm probably not going to be able to do the damage with military and feudal age. Then this is a good strategy because it allows you to make a couple of units to deal with the Drush, and then maybe harass them a bit at home if they're not walled. Um, and then you can get up to castle age quickly, which is what you want to do. So for instance, say they are fully walled in the front, they have like a back gold, back wood, right? Then you probably wouldn't want to go full feudal because their resources are all going to be safe in the back of their base. However, if their resources were in the front of their base and they were really exposed, then obviously you might not want to do this build because it might be better to do a more aggressive build, starting with scouts. You start with a scout flush, but you go into something more aggressive, like maybe like scouts into archers or something like that. But we're not going to be talking about that build here. We're just going to be talking about this Scout into Faster Castle. Another build where that the opponent could be doing what this would be good is say they're going for Fast Castle, and again they're fully walled or something like that, and they have back resources. So you don't want to try to you don't want to be a hero, right? I always say don't be a hero in the game. Just make a strategy that you feel comfortable with doing. Don't just go all in on them just for the hell of it. Really make sure you can do the damage, and that'll lead to you guys to winning a lot of games. Trust me, I tell you, I lose a fair share of my games just by trying to be a hero. I always try to go all in, and it doesn't work out most of the time. So yeah. Another strategy, so basically, a Drush Fast Castle and a Fast Castle build, I would say those are kind of relatively defensive builds versus this build. This build I would definitely classify as more passive. The whole scouts into castle or into a faster castle, where you are making scouts early on, so it is kind of it's not very aggressive. I don't think scouts are very aggressive. I guess you could say they are, but they're countered by spears easily. So I'm not going to say they're the most aggressive. I think it's rather passive, where you get to keep good map vision and you can do some damage at the same time. I think this build is good against passive builds, right? Because if they were to go scouts as well and we're fully walled, well, even if they have 3 or 4 more scouts than us, they're not going to be able to get into our base because we can just easily repair the walls behind it, right? So I think this build also does really good against passive builds like scouts as well. The build that doesn't do good against would be aggressive builds. So say somebody was going to go forward. If somebody comes forward on the hill right here, I'm obviously not going to be able to fully wall. So it would be a problem if I tried to go up to Castle Age quickly, and that I think is obvious to most people. Another build that might not be this might not be very good against is a build like Man-at-Arms into Archers. Man-at-Arms can usually get into your base pretty quickly, and Archers counter Scouts, especially when there aren't enough Scouts. If the Scouts aren't fully upgraded, which by the way, we're not going to be upgrading the Scouts, and the Archers are, then enough Archers will easily counter the Scouts, and this could be very dangerous, even if you are walled. Um, to try to go like faster castle against just straight up archers or man at arms and archers or drush and archers or whatever, right? So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of when to use the strategy. And I guess one more thing we'll talk about here while I'm starting at the beginning. And sorry I haven't really gotten into the game, but again, it's just too difficult to explain and play at the same time. And it all happens really quickly. By the way, I mean if I were to have been talking while I was playing, I'd have already been like through with the build by now. So and there's still a lot more to talk about. So one question you guys might be asking is how many scouts do I make? So really that depends on, I guess, the map. If your opponent is already fully walled and you realize this, then making like 7 scouts is going to be useless, right? You're not going to be able to get into their base probably, and you're going to have wasted all the extra resources on the scouts. So in that situation, only making 3 or 4 scouts is definitely acceptable. However, if they are not walled, right, usually I'd recommend making something like 7 scouts. The reason why I would say 7 scouts is because 7 scouts is enough to kill like 1 or 2 spears if they're defending like a berry patch like here. If there was only 1 spear here, then 7 scouts can easily pick off the spear and then attack the villagers, right? Even against 2 spears, if you micro the scouts correctly, you should be able to kill them with 7 scouts, even without bloodlines. Um, but with 4 scouts, like what I said, if they're walled, if you were to go 4 scouts and they were open, right? If they just have 1 spear on the berries and they just attack with the villagers and the spear at the same time, well, usually the 4 scouts are all going to die, and you'd probably be lucky to get 1 villager, if any at all. So I like 7. I think it forces them to either make more defensive units, like 3 or 4 spears, well, probably 3 spears, right? It forces them either to make more defensive units to wall in their villagers, which can be kind of tedious to do, or basically defend with their main army, which I think is the goal of making like 7 scouts. If they're busy chasing you around their own base, that means they're not scouting you, so they don't have any idea of what you're doing. So they might not be sure of whether or not you're going scouts into archers, or if you're going scouts into a faster castle, or even if you're going mass scouts, right? So they have no idea what you're doing if you make like that amount of scouts. So I think that would be really good. Again, if you only make 4 scouts, they can basically camp a spear at the berries, and then the rest of their scouts can go see what you're doing. And if they realize quickly that you're trying to go into a fast castle, well, at that point they could start to forward you with towers and stuff like that, and that obviously wouldn't be ideal because now it starts to become like that part. It starts to become a little bit risky to try to like go into to click up to Castle Age at that point. So I would recommend like 6 or 7 scouts. No bloodlines again, but um, you can do 4 scouts, and there's definitely certain situations. Like obviously, if you could wall your map super easily, like there was like a really small choke point, and that was like the only entrance into your base, then maybe that could be as good. If you can re-wall behind it and stuff like that, I think that could be definitely a good map to do it on. But again, this map is pretty good. It's pretty easy to wall. Just make some basic walls here, and then we can go quickly to Castle Age, and then we can pump out knights. And yeah, so anyways, we're just gonna make farms like a normal scout build, and then yeah, I will pause the video in like another 2 minutes or so and talk about some other things. But yeah, um, so let's keep going. So we're making the scouts here. We're making the houses. We're keeping the walls going. Let's keep this going here, and it's really important that we keep making farms, right? It's very important. And again, like making farms in like the perfect position isn't always isn't always the best mindset in my opinion. It's better to get a farm down in like a bad position, well, not a bad position, but like an okay position, than it is to get like no farms down to be stacking wood. That's a big issue. So we're not going to stack wood in this game. We're just going to keep putting down farms, even if again they're not in the best position, and we're going to continue to make scouts. So let's keep going, and let's keep making sure we wall up the rest of our base. And yeah, let's pause right here. So another question I'm sure that you guys will ask is, when do I get Wheelbarrow? So I've tested this build a few times, and I found what's best, or I found what's worked the best for me. It might not be the best completely. I haven't done all the mathematical research on it, but don't worry about that. That's not important. I think what's worked best for me is 14 minutes. I usually get Wheelbarrow. And that might be difficult to see in a game to remember to get it at 14 minutes. But once you get past 14 minutes, if you haven't gotten Wheelbarrow, I would definitely get it. The reason why you can get it after 14 minutes is usually you have enough farms to where it's going to be worth it. I mean, right now you can see that we only have 9 farmers, but we're adding farmers very quickly. So eventually very soon here we'll be at 14 farmers. So I like to get it at 14 minutes. Um, Another question you might have is, when do we go on gold? So we're actually going to want to go on gold. We're actually going to want to go on to gold, like basically right, like maybe basically a minute and a half or 2 minutes before we are planning on clicking the castle age. So if you make 3 scouts, so 4 scouts total, usually you want to go on gold at 14 minutes. So the same time you're going for Wheelbarrow. So that's if you make 3 scouts, 4 scouts total, you want to go 5 on gold at the same time you're getting Wheelbarrow, right? For every additional scout you make past 3 scouts, right, you want to go on gold a half minute later. So in this situation, we're going to be making 6 scouts, so 7 scouts total. And since that's 3 more scouts than the 14 minutes going to gold, we're going to add a minute and 30. So we're going to actually go to gold at 15:30 with 5 villagers on gold. Until then, we're just going to keep adding villagers to farms, and we're not going to worry about the gold, right? We're just going to keep scout production, keep adding farms, and keep trying to wall our base. So yeah, let's keep going. We're not going to worry about the enemy scout. I guess we could kill it, but we're nice people. Other thing you might want to do is, I'm not really doing it here because I'm trying to pay attention to this, but what we want to do is we want to keep our scouts protecting our. Oops, I forgot to get Wheelbarrow. All right, we're gonna get Wheelbarrow. See, now we forgot because I was talking too much. You want to keep your scouts in a relatively defensive position until you're fully walled. Once you're fully walled, then you can do whatever. But yeah, so anyways, you're seeing right now, we're on 5 on gold. Whoopsie. 5 on gold, right? We're not making more scouts. 5 on gold. Let's just add more to wood here. We'll send this guy to gold as well. We're going to try to add more farms, send this guy to wood. Fix this guy up. We're going to send these guys so they don't run back to our TC. And now you're asking, when are we making the friggin' blacksmith? Okay, well, calm down. Okay, we're gonna make the blacksmith, but we don't need to make the blacksmith until we're up, right? We're not getting any of the eco upgrades, so the blacksmith is not, it's not necessarily important at this moment. So once we get up here, we're gonna open this wall up here, and we're just gonna make it here, even though it's just awful. Obviously, you gotta be careful about making like a blacksmith like this. You kind of want to incorporate it into your wall, but we're gonna kind of screw around with it a little bit. So anyways, here we're gonna make one more villager. Again, it's not like perfect. You're gonna have struggle when you're doing walls like this to find like the perfect balance of eco, and you're gonna kind of struggle to find the perfect balance between your eco and getting up at like the best time, right? Don't be like one of those. Don't be like a person that is just gonna sit like and like try to nitpick at everything. I mean, not talking about the video, but don't try to like perfect things because it's not gonna be perfect all the time. This is really just a kind of a general guide on it. And I found that when I do it this way, there's a lot of games where I'm actually finding that I am getting up at like the perfect time. So obviously it didn't work perfectly in this game. I would have liked to have probably gotten up another villager earlier, so another 30 seconds earlier. But it doesn't always happen that way. And sometimes you got to try to make small adjustments, and other times you kind of just have to go with it. I think just in general, this is a really good way to do this build. You can see here that we have 18 farmers, 9 lumberjacks, 9 miners, and a guy building a stable, right? And we're gonna get up to Castle Age at a decent time, considering that we've made 7 scouts. With civs like Huns and Celts and like Teutons, since they all get like nice little eco bonuses, there's a couple others as well, like Mongols. But the civs that get eco bonuses, they can actually get up a little bit quicker. So, by the way, you get gold mining upgrade when you go up, but um, those guys can, those civs usually can get up like 30 seconds to a minute faster, maybe for the better ones. So yeah. So anyways, let's see. We're up to Castle Age now. By the way, I keep forgetting to get all these things, but you would have wanted to get bloodlines and armor upgrade and then you get the wood upgrade. So let me just get all of them really quick. Should have got these earlier. So you can see we have wood for a town center. Obviously, let me just pause it. Sorry. Obviously, here you have the wood for a town center. You could add like a TC here or something like that, right? You could have also just added more farms. That way you can pump nights longer. The problem with adding more farms though at this point is you have so few on wood anyways that it's like if you pull too many off on wood, then you're suddenly not collecting any wood anymore. So I would just say make more farms or something. If you really were trying to go for full nights, I don't think going for full nights is necessarily the greatest strategy. Um, but usually it's really tough on you. It makes you have a really weak eco. But if you find that like the other person's like really open and they only have one goal, all their golds are forward and it's exposed, well, fine, just go full knights and maybe you can take them off gold. And in that situation, like at a 1v1, you're gonna win the game. But anyways, yeah, I mean that's kind of it for this build. Hopefully, again, let me I guess, is there anything else to talk about for this? We're fully walled, we're safe. We got up at 2030, basically 2040. Again, you probably, if you did this really well, I'm sure that you probably could have done, you probably could do like this map in like, I don't know, maybe even as fast as 2010, but it's difficult and it's tough to always like get everything perfect, especially when you're walling, you're doing scouts. So perfection isn't what we're going for here. We're just going for, we're just doing better. We're just going for like better than average or good. Because I'll tell you one thing. I started working on this build 6 hours ago, and you're gonna be thinking, yeah, this guy's crazy for working on it for 6 hours. But I'll tell you, when I first started doing this build, right, I was making, I was making I made 3 scouts, so I had 4 scouts total, and I got up at like 20 minutes, like almost the same time as I'm getting up right now with 7 scouts. I got up with 3 scouts, and I know what you're saying. You're probably thinking I'm a noob or whatever, but seriously, try these builds by yourself without watching. Try some of the future builds without actually watching the videos, and then see how much more you improve by like after watching the videos. But anyways, I think that's all that I have to say about this build. Again, you're gonna have the +2 knights out, or I'm getting the armor now, but you should get the armor and the bloodlines when you're going up to Castle Age. And then once you get up to Castle Age, if they have like a bunch of archers or something like that, get +2. If you have +2 knights against feudal archers, the feudal archers only do 1 damage each to your knight per arrow. So like it's killing archers, like feudal archers with +2 knights is just like huge because you just get such great value. I mean, you could use like two +2 knights in Castle Age, and you could probably go versus like 15 or 20 archers and maybe win, right? So it's really a good trade. So yeah, and that's what you'll see actually. If people go scouts into archers, and they'll have archers attacking your palisades or whatever, and then you'll get castle age. You'll have +2 armor. You'll send the knights out. They'll have like 15 archers. You'll kill them all with like 2 knights, and then they're going to be basically GG because now they just lost all the army they had made in feudal age. And sure, they're going to get up to castle age in maybe a couple minutes or whatever, but the problem is now they don't have any army, and they're going to be in a really tough situation. So yeah, so this is a really nice build, I think, especially like I haven't really tried it a whole lot in Huns, but I think it works really well in like Teutons and stuff like that. Again, in like Teutons and Franks wars, you don't usually want to make archers if you don't have to. I mean, I think you'd much rather prefer to make knights because you get the or you get the with Teutons you get the farm bonus or the cheaper farms, which help you have a better food eco, and then with Franks obviously you get free bloodlines, so you don't actually have to research that. So it'll give you more resources to make knights or whatever, right? So anyways, hopefully this guide has helped you. I would consider maybe remaking it in the future just to try to get like a better time or something, but hopefully you guys understand the general idea of the build. And yeah, I think I covered everything. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me just go back here and check the Let me just go back and check the uptime actually. By the way, I did this on HD because I wanted to find the best scenario for the. Oh, if I go back, that's just gonna show this. Oh man, that sucks. Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will be posting a video probably tomorrow or the next day on scouts into archers. So we'll look at that build and when maybe to use that build. But hopefully you guys understand how this one works and how to do it. And I would definitely advise like practicing this if you've already gotten down the scout build because this will be a build that you are going to use fairly often. Well, maybe not fairly often, but you probably would use it like of the games that you go scouts, you might use this build like maybe 15 to 20% of the time. So it's definitely a build to get down. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video or enjoyed the video, please like the video. And then obviously, if you would like to see more videos like this, then please subscribe to my channel. I just hit 100 subscribers, so I'm gonna make a video about that shortly, like in a couple minutes. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.